I have to admit that when I came across Gervase Markham's observation about a pretty secret or mystery, it gave me pause. In a paragraph that concerns the name of Vere, the words scream off the page, along with author and mistaking of names. Of course, people who post on YouTube often fail to pay attention to the whole context, and when you do read the context, you are actually a little confused. Firstly, who exactly is Markham talking about? He's already done a paragraph about the 17th Earl, and it feels complete in itself. Let me paraphrase the part that is about the 17th Earl. I'm putting both paragraphs at the end of the video so that you can pause and read it at your leisure if you want to check my interpretation. And now we turn to the noble father of the current Earl of Oxford. Although he lived in a time of peace, when every weapon lay locked away for want of employment, yet this nobleman did honour to this kingdom in Italy, France, and other nations. It would be an unending task to relate the number of his servants, or the extent of his house, which provided food for so many. If only those now living would follow his example, the kingdom's discontentment would not now feed the armies of our enemies, and none of our people would turn to the Catholic cause. He was upright and honest in all his dealings, and the debts he left to burden his survivors were manageable. As everyone knows, he was generous to those in need, and in his gifts to learning and true religion. As Queen Elizabeth said of Charles Blount, aka Baron Mountjoy, aka the Earl of Devonshire, he was honest, pious, and magnanimous. Sounds like an ending, right? Especially as Markham now moves on to a completely different family of Veres. Again, I've compressed this paragraph, but do check at the end of the video if you suspect foul play. Where do I begin with the memorable Francis and Horace Vere? If I could name only one place they have influenced, I could name thousands. Look at the histories of Spain, Portugal and France, Calais, or the Azores, or Germany, and you shall find a Vere in arms. For that matter, look at all that has been written in living memory in the Netherlands. On every page, in every action, the name of Vere cannot be omitted. Only in that story there is a pretty secret or mystery, which I can't leave out because it will inspire doubt among ignorant readers. It concerns the mistaking of names, for the author of that work follows the scriptures in making one name contain another, as the name Adam to contain the name Eve, and the word man to contain the word woman. Thus the author, speaking of famous exploits, refers just to Nassau or the Dutch, whereas the name of Vere should ever be included within them. I am not trying to detract from the virtues of the prince. I merely express my regret that the memory of virtuous acts can be destroyed by the stroke of a pen. What Markham seems to be saying is that credit for a military achievement has been given to the Prince of Nassau and to the Dutch people, which rightly also belongs to someone by the name of Vere. So, which Vere is he talking about? Well, look at the first sentence of the paragraph. It evokes Sir Francis and Sir Horace Vere. Could this supposed misattribution of merit be a reference to one of those Veres? Well, there's certainly one occasion which fits the bill perfectly. This is the House of Vere archive. Cue the Battle of Newport. We have here a reference to Nassau, as mentioned in the text. The armies of the Dutch Republic were commanded by Maurice, Count of Nassau, son of William of Orange and thus a prince. And, sure enough, in an account of the action, Horace Vere had performed brilliantly, but had not been given credit by his brother, who had emphasized his own part in the action. So, to quote from the Vere archive, in the celebrated Battle of Newport, 2nd of July 1600, in which the English troops played a major part, Horace distinguished himself. He gathered 6 companies of English troops, with which he saved the Dutch artillery, before launching a charge that helped break up the Spanish momentum, allowing Sir Francis Vere and Prince Maurice, Captain General of the United Provinces, to launch a general counterattack and sweep the Spanish to defeat. Sir Francis's narrative of the battle, in his military memoirs, does not do justice to his brother's role. So, one name containing another, Francis and Horace Vere, check. A person called Vere denied the credit he deserved. Check. An author who was responsible for this injustice. Check. Now, the claims for linking this paragraph with the works of William Shakespeare are an anagram based on the words "the least spark," which should be rendered as Shakespeare, and a misprint involving a missing letter R. And the problem is that "the least spark" is a lousy anagram for Shakespeare, leaving you with a T, an L, and another T unused. And I honestly think that the misprint is a misprint. Misprints generally are. I like the idea of an eel of Oxford, but I suspect that this particular eel was created by a distracted moment in a print shop. Given that the whole thing makes perfect sense in relation to the Battle of Newport, the reference to the secret seems merely to refer to a military encounter in the 80 Years' War. And given the fact that at the time this treatise was being written, Sir Horace Vere was alive and Sir Francis Vere was dead, it would make sense for Markham to feel free to flatter Horace by pointing out his late brother's solecism in misreporting the battle. I know that the conspiracy was much more interesting, but then, as Freud remarked, a cigar is sometimes just a cigar. A misprint is a misprint. And a few words that can almost be rearranged to make the word Shakespeare are just a few words. Boring, eh? If you want to test my interpretation of Markham's words, the two texts are coming up now.